One thing about me is that I love taking pictures. I spend endless nights scrolling on Pinterest, flipping through the pages of my Sofia Coppola archive, and studying the cinematography of my favorite films. I try to recreate some of the magic I see on screen, and I think there's a lot of beauty in things that get overlooked. So anytime I see something remotely aesthetic, my phone is out to capture the moment. For me, it's almost like a way of romanticizing my life, and I think we see this in a lot of different art forms. Today I will be sharing exactly how I capture and stage these aesthetic moments on my Instagram, but I also want to touch on the reality behind these aesthetic pictures and how I use it as a vehicle for storytelling and creativity. Even if you're not a content creator like myself, I think a lot of self-expression can be had through these mediums. So if anything, I hope this video inspires you to do so. I felt like I wanted to wear something a little bit studious today because it would make me feel a little bit smarter than I am, which would help with my imposter syndrome. I am not a professional photographer by any means, but this is how I do it. Actually, we're gonna take the approach from like the Barbie movie where like they're accepting awards and like doing all these things and they're like, I totally deserve to be here. I am really good at taking pictures and I'm gonna show you because that's what I know how to do. I thought we could just start off with the basics. Like, I just want to go over some of my most frequently asked questions when it comes to picture taking. We can kind of get into like the how-to a little bit later on. The first question that I get a lot is, what do you use to take pictures? I just use my iPhone for the most part. This is the iPhone 13. I think any iPhone though would be like doing the same things. Obviously there's like little discrepancies and things like that. I'm not particularly recommending the iPhone 13 just for taking pictures. This is just the one that I happen to have and it works for me. But if you want to like kind of dabble in some other things, I also have the Canon G7X. Now I particularly use this for vlogging and things like that, but it also takes really good pictures. I know a lot of influencers and content creators do use this for pictures. And the other thing I use is my Fuji Mini Instax Evo. What is this called? Fujifilm Instax Mini Evo. This is a film camera and it prints out the Polaroids, but you can also like download them onto your phone. So this is just like a fun thing that I've been playing with more recently. For the most part, I take pictures on my iPhone. Next question, lighting. This is probably the most important thing when it comes to my style of photography. I think you can never go wrong with natural sunlight. It always looks good. It always looks amazing. However, I have I don't know which way my windows are facing, but it's the direction that does not get a lot of sunlight. Like it gets good sunlight until like 11 or 12, and then after that it's just kind of like dull and weird looking, and I don't like that. So that's why I kind of have opted for this cozy lamp lit aesthetic that I have acquired. I literally just use a lamp, like a singular lamp. Actually I have two. One of them barely does anything though, so it's basically just one lamp in my room that lights my photos. It creates this kind of like soft aesthetic to my pictures, which I really like. Again, natural sunlight is great, but lamplit is perfect if you want that cozy romantic vibe. Sometimes I will also turn off all of the lights and just use candlelight when I want to play around with some different kinds of things. So sometimes I'll put like the candles in front or behind the camera, and then I'll just have like my face lit by the candlelight, and that's sometimes like a really pretty thing to do for self-portraits. That is how I did these pictures here, which is my profile pic. Hi. Next question, how do I edit my pictures? The thing is that 90% of the time I don't do any edits at all. I much prefer like a raw photo. Something about it feels more relatable or real. It's like what your eyes are actually seeing. I don't really know exactly how to explain it, but I used to use filters on my photos, and then I stopped using filters, and then my Instagram started to pop off. So I don't know if those two things are related. I also used to be really cringe, so that might be a factor as well. I don't know. A lot of people use like filters and stuff to kind of get like a cohesive aesthetic in their pictures, but for me this is where the lighting comes into play. If I use kind of the same lighting for most of my photos, then the cohesivity comes in through that, if that makes sense. Sometimes, very rarely, I will go into the setting in my camera roll and I'll take the black point and I will just put it on like -10 if the photo is just a little bit too dark and I'm not really getting the dimensions of the photo that I really want to. However, sometimes I will use a filter if I want to get like a film kind of aesthetic on my picture, just when I want to try something a little bit different, a little bit new. So I'll do this when I do like a self-portrait, and I will use the flash on my phone, and then I will go into the Tezza app and I'll put like a film filter over it, and it's just kind of like a cool aesthetic vibe if you want to play around with something like that. While we're on the topic of edits, full transparency, if I do like a self-portrait that is like really close up on my face or something, I will 1000% go in on Facetune and just kind of like blur out my skin a tiny bit. I don't like when my camera is picking up things that like my eyes can't even see. Like, what is that? You should not be able to see my pores. Like, I can barely even see my pores, and I have good eyesight. Yeah, we love Facetune for that. I don't like to overdo it though. That's not doing anyone any favors. Next question is, how do I keep a cohesive feed? By the way, you don't have to have a cohesive feed if you don't want to. Like, it really doesn't matter. Just do whatever makes you happy. I feel like this just kind of happens naturally for me because I shoot most of my content inside my room. My room has a cohesive vibe, so that in turn makes my pictures have a cohesive vibe. Everything kind of goes together. I also use my floral bedding every so often for my flat lays, which kind of just helps have like a common theme that keeps coming back on my page. I also tend to wear like a lot of the same colors, so keeping that all in the same vibe kind of helps as well. It's kind of hard because like I don't like to focus too much on the way my feed looks. I would rather focus on each individual picture, but if I post something that like doesn't match my feed, it physically hurts my eyes to look at. Like, I can't stand it. I loved my Barbie costume this year, but I hate the way this picture looks in my feed. I love the pics though. I hate the way this bright blue is like drawing my eye right there. The next question is, do you feel pressure to make everything aesthetic all the time? No, I do not. And this is why, is because I genuinely like really enjoy this kind of stuff, so I don't feel pressure from it because it's something that makes me happy. This should never be like a stressful thing where you're like, I have to post this, I have to make this look like this so that my life looks like this. I am not trying to portray a depiction of real life on my Instagram. That's not what I do. It's not supposed to be an accurate representation of real life. This is not realism, this is romanticism. Did I use those words correctly? I don't know. Me taking pictures of things, I feel like it's just highlighting the beauty that I see. It's the beauty from my point of view. Photography is art, even if you're just doing it with your iPhone, you know what I mean? And the reality behind the aesthetic pictures, like if I'm not in the picture, like if it's not a self-portrait, then I am behind the camera, like in baggy sweatpants, baggy sweatshirt, no makeup, messy bun, not a cute messy bun, like a weird messy bun. There's a chance I probably haven't brushed my teeth that day. I like being behind the camera sometimes because I can really just not focus on myself and put my creativity into something else that doesn't revolve around my physical appearance. It's kind of liberating in a way. I still love self-portraits, like those can be really fun, and we'll get into all of that later, but yeah. Next question is, where do you get your ideas? What's the inspiration? I kind of touched on this at the very beginning of this video, but I get a lot of inspiration from Pinterest. One of the things that like really like switched my mindset around picture taking and content creating is like, would I myself save this picture to a Pinterest board if I saw it on my feed, if I saw it on my Pinterest feed and it wasn't my picture? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you yourself love the content? You should be creating things that you yourself would want to see when you're scrolling on your feed, if that makes sense. Once I really like wrapped my mind around that, that's when everything started to change, I feel like, because I was genuinely making things that I love, not just what I think people want to see. I also get so much inspiration from film. Like if I see like a really cool aesthetic shot in a movie, I'll kind of try to recreate the composition of it, or I'll try to recreate the lighting, or take just little things like that and try to apply it into my photography. I draw inspiration from a ton of movies, but to name a few, we have Little Women, one of my all-time favorite movies, Little Women 2019, Greta Gerwig. Fabulous movie, cozy, quaint, perfect, beautiful. I'm obsessed with it. The Virgin Suicides, Marie Antoinette, anything that is directed by Sofia Coppola, obviously. More recently, Saltburn. I have been getting a ton of inspo from that movie. I've watched it a couple times already, and I notice different things every single time. It's such a good movie. Any Jane Austen film, any like period romance, you know, Pride and Prejudice, Emma. There's literally so many, but my ultimate inspiration, my favorite TV show of all time, from whom I receive my life's blood, Gilmore Girls. I want to evoke the same feelings that you get when you watch Gilmore Girls. I want it to feel cozy and quaint and quirky, yet still intellectual. Those are the vibes I'm going for, okay? I also just like to have like a lot of props in my pictures. They're not props, it's just things that I have, but once I'm taking a picture of it, it becomes a prop. This is not a book anymore, this is a prop. This is a vehicle for storytelling in this picture. I like to use my books, I like to use like some of my makeup that has pretty packaging, I'll use my clothes, of course, you know, different things like that. I have a record player that always takes cool pictures. I have an antique typewriter that I like to use a lot as a prop. I'll literally like stage it and make it look like, ooh, this is aesthetic, she's typing on her typewriter, like very vintage vibes, cool. The typewriter doesn't work. Like, not everything has to be real. It doesn't have to be exactly what's happening. If you're doing a flat lay and it's a what's in my bag, it doesn't have to be exactly what is in your bag. You know, it's not hurting anyone if you put something in there that you never carry that. I never carry perfume with me, but I always add the perfume to a what's in my bag video. If I put the perfume in there and it's like a rose smelling perfume, it's adding context to the person that I am, you know? I don't know. For the second part of this video, I kind of wanted to just go over some examples of my commonly used photography ideas. I want to go over staging, some angles, and some posing tips as well. So starting with flat lays, I think this is the easiest thing for people at home to recreate. I actually start by taking my bedding off of my bed, which I know is kind of weird, but I actually just lay it down on the floor. This just helps me be able to get a more straight on angle of the picture. You don't have to use bedding for this. You can use just like a plain white sheet. You can just use your floor. You can use a rug. Just basically anything that you can lay stuff flat on will work. And then I kind of just start by laying everything out and kind of organizing it in an aesthetic way. This is kind of the fun part for me. I don't know why. It just is very aesthetically pleasing to me to kind of organize everything, and it's just like a fun way to kind of show off like my favorite items of the moment or put together outfits, anything like that. And then I just take the picture, pretty self-explanatory. I kind of like to hold the phone a little bit farther away and then zoom in just to kind of even out the dimensions of the picture. And I'll also zoom in on different parts of the picture just to kind of get some variety in there. Yeah, this is what the pictures end up looking like. Pretty cute and pretty Pinterest worthy, I would say. Next, I want to show how I go about doing these kind of like elevated mirror pictures. They're basically just regular mirror pictures, but without my phone actually showing. I think this is just like a fun way to do self-portraits or show little details of your outfit. But I start by actually taking my mirror off of the wall and putting it on the floor. The important part here is the angle of your camera. Now, I like to put my phone in front of the mirror but off to the 45-degree angle. You're definitely going to need a tripod to do this, but I basically just put the timer camera on and I try a ton of different poses. I really like posing on the floor because I feel like there's just more things you can do with your hands and your legs, and it feels a little bit less awkward to me somehow. But as you can see here, I have the angle. I like to kind of zoom in and out. I don't really like the borders of the mirror to be showing just because it gives it a little bit of a cleaner effect. But as you can see here, I kind of have like my book in my bag next to me so that I can do something with my hands. And again, I really just try like a ton of different poses. It's a lot of trial and error. Some of them look super awkward, but you kind of just have to try different things. And I usually end up with like 50 to 100 pictures, and then I end up with maybe like 4 pictures that I like. But this is the final product. The next thing I want to talk about is one of my favorite things to take pictures of, which is of my shoes. I think there's just a lot of different things you can do with this, and they always end up looking so cute and so aesthetic, and I just love the way they look in my feed as well. This is one of the things where like the reality behind it is not aesthetic. Like, it's literally just me getting up in and out of the ground super awkwardly and setting the timer cam on my phone and running over to try to get the pic. But you know, there's a lot of ways you can do this. You can do it kind of like how I'm doing it with the wall against the background. You can also do like a flat lay version where it's kind of like your POV on top, and you can kind of organize the different props around your feet. You can, you know, just kind of stand there and put the camera on the ground and take the picture. There's a lot of different things you can do, which is why I like these so much. But yeah, I kind of just set up the phone and I zoom in a little bit, and then I just run over, put my feet up, and take the picture. And yeah, this is the final product, and I also ended up taking these pictures right after as well. Next, I want to go over how I do these kind of candlelit, cozy corner pictures in my room. I'll usually use kind of like my desk to put stuff on, but it usually involves some kind of candlelight. I just got this gorgeous candelabra for Christmas, and I'm finally getting around to using it and lighting it up. So I think the lighting is super important for pictures like this. I have my lamp on in the background, but obviously the candles inside the picture just really illuminate the photos in a really beautiful way. And then I just kind of go in and zoom in on each little thing that I'm photographing. This is how the pictures turned out. I think they look so beautiful, and I just love like the cozy feelings that they evoke. Okay, I think that is everything I have in today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful or inspiring or entertaining in some way, shape, or form. Follow me on Instagram and Pinterest if you're not already, if you want to see more pics if you're not tired of me already by the end of this video. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want. You don't have to, but you know, it's really about the views. Like, as long as you keep clicking on the videos, like, we're good. But if you want to subscribe, like, that would be really nice. Creativity is an amazing thing, and I think it really can feed your soul, and I hope you find some way to be creative this week or today or tomorrow. But yeah, I love you guys, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.